I want to say a word for a few minutes this morning from the subject, Lord, change my perspective. Lord, change my perspective. That even within the confines of the four walls of our church, my sisters and my brothers, that you and I sometimes can lack perspective. One of the most important, valuable resources a human being can have is the ability to put things in perspective. So sometimes what you need is not a divorce, it's a perspective. Sometimes what you need is not a new job, it's a new perspective. Sometimes even in the church, what we need is not a new church home. Sometimes what we need is the ability to put things into perspective. Perspective comes from the Latin word which means to be able to see through a thing. Perspective is the ability to be able to take a step back. And can I tell you that when people don't have perspective, there's no room for compromise. When people don't have perspective, then it's hard to get to a win-win. When people don't have perspective, then it's difficult to see the big picture and what's really going on. And sometimes, as wonderful as perspective is, sometimes perspective is not free. Sometimes perspective is not always easy. Sometimes perspective comes with a cost. Some of us have gained a sense of perspective on some things in life, but we can testify that we paid a price for our perspective. We made some mistakes along the way to get our perspective. We made some bad decisions along the way to get our perspective. We did some dumb stuff and listened to the wrong people sometimes to get our perspective. And let me help somebody, because sometimes we get frustrated with people because we want to talk to them